out verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Works with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network. Welcome to UFO Undercover, with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Oh, wow. It finally let us back, people. These promos and intros sometimes, I got to say, they're a lot shorter right now because we're not running commercials. So it's much shorter than it usually is. But sometimes it can be 7-8 minutes before you actually get in. I'm sitting there. I've been known to be chatting or yapping. All of a sudden the screen comes on. It's never a good thing. Well, I got to remember to turn the studio AC off. Sorry, guys. That humming will go away in a few minutes as soon as I get up. I forgot to turn it off before we went live, and that's just to keep the studio extra cold. It's about 68 degrees in here right now, so I like my well, we got a lot of computers in here. We want to make sure they stay good and chilled. Tonight's guest is Jody Lynn Nye. She's a coordinating judge for Writers of the Future. I should say Writers and Illustrators of the Future. I always leave the illustrators. That's shame on me, bad Joe, but because I treat them as two different groups because they really are. So when I label the titles, a lot of times I only label it one or the other because. Now, Jody Lynn's great. I got to say, I watched. This is the second time I've been out to LA to do press. She's great, actually. So first, y'all didn't get to hear Tim Powers on Monday, and he'll be back on a couple of weeks because we had some audio issues. But the two of them are like a force to be reckoned with. So I'm thinking, because you got to remember, I'm there for press. I'm not a winner or anything. I'm not a judge. I'm just press. So when I'm sitting in the class or anybody, I'm thinking, well, let me look at this from a class point of view. I'm thinking, Jesus, I feel for these guys. They are tough, good, and fair. And I learned more watching them this year about writing than I have in my entire freaking life. I actually literally, John and Emily Goodman, if y'all know who I'm talking about, from Galaxy Press, have been on my butt about writing a book for him, well, since I've known him. so somehow or another, because, and this is really because of you and Tim, Jody, honestly, somebody said I was channeling Elron. I actually did 10,000 words in 3 nights while I was there. But the sad part is, since I've been home, I've written like 10 words. So I've got to figure out how to do that at home. I guess I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. But they inspired me, guys, because there was stuff I just didn't understand. And I still remember when Tim tells me, he goes, look, we're doing a 24-hour thing tonight. And I'm going to get Jody to tell you that when we properly introduce her in a second. But he goes, just walk around and get some good pictures of them while they're working without them seeing it. And guys, we'll talk about this in a few minutes. This is, I don't even think I could do this. Even though they picked the tie still, I'd come back with like 8 words. Here you go. I could see Jody smacking me right now. So Jody, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be.
Oh, and you're great. I mean, I love listening to y'all when we were out there. And I got tons of pictures of her, y'all. We've been pruning them through the websites lately because we're getting ready to do another blast of. I think we took 2,000 photos, and then Jason sent me like 1,500 photos. So we've just got a lot we've been going through. Somehow or another, you were like I don't know. You were in the top 3 photographed pictures. I have no idea why. I guess you were just really photographic those days. I don't know what was going on. It's funny. I noticed over different years doing this, some people just tend to get photographed. So if it was me, I'd just say, yeah, I was looking for the right shot. But it came from like 5 different people taking pictures. So
oh, wow.
It was interesting, including Maliva's pictures. I always want to call her by a different name. Bad Joe. And then, of course, Jason, and there was a few others there. And then we were taking just tons and tons of pictures. But anyway, Jody, it is a pleasure to have you. I've been wanting to get you on here just to talk. No, guys, this is not a UFO show. Whoever texted me that. Well, we're going to be talking sci-fi and fantasy and some other stuff as we get into Jody's books as we go along. Before I even get ready to introduce you, I seen you did some work with Anne McCaffrey. I just had Todd on last week. Uh-huh. And so Todd was here last Wednesday with us. That's Todd McCaffrey and McCaffrey's son. And we'll talk about that with Jody in a little while. So, Jody, first off, welcome again to the show. I noticed, you have a long line of credits to your life. You've been working on these books for a long time. Before I even get you to tell people a little bit about yourself, very first question, what was it? 8, 9, 10, 12? What year was it? What was the thing that said, okay, I can write? Because for me, I can't write, so that's why I'm asking.
Well, I was telling stories before I could write, so I suppose it started even then. I used to tell stories to my brothers and my cousins and to the summer campers that I went to sleepaway camp, and we had no radios, nothing. So when the lights went out before we went to sleep, I would tell stories to the other campers and give them something to think about. It was, I guess it was always there.
See, I could tell a good story, but I still can't write. See, that's hope anyway. I was coming back to think about it. Not just said that a lot of my friends who are good storytellers actually have published works now, nowhere near like you have, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 books. The only person I know that writes the amount of books that I see people at Writers of the Future write, as far as the judges go, is a friend of mine, Nick Redfern, but he does it for a living. He's a 9 to 5 writer. I don't know how he does it. Can you be a 9 to 5 writer, or is it just when it comes to you? You are? Oh, okay.
This was my job for a long time.
Because I don't know how y'all do that. How do you call up what you're going to write about? Is it just in your head? Is it like what the sculpture's doing? It's already there. It's like already on the paper or the pad or whatever you're going to do. See, that's my issue right there. So as you're going through life, what was your favorite genres growing up? What was sci-fi, fantasy?
Well, I was
mystery.
There was a difference between science fiction and fantasy.
I'm with you on that.
Really, I read a lot of mysteries, but science fiction and fantasy was always there. And because I wanted to be anywhere except where I was, which was a kid growing up in the suburbs, I was very small, got bullied a lot. So books were an escape for me. And the farther away from my real life, the better.
Well, I've heard that before, and it's a good escape. It's one of the reasons I got involved with Writers of the Future, because now I'm bringing books to libraries and stuff and giving them to schools and things.
Good.
And I live in Louisiana, Mississippi. You can't get much more illiterate than those 2 states. And before y'all start writing in from your home states, I'm not lying. So just don't get upset about it. Do your part to bring literacy back into our states. And it has changed down here, but it's getting better. But books like these anthologies that y'all have are great. You bring one to a library. I mean, there's 12 stories in there. There's great artwork. It not only does it give them something to read, but it gives them hope in the future because you could join and maybe become a winner, which is an interesting thing in itself. It adds a spin to the book itself. So how did you even get involved with Writers of the Future?
Well, they asked me a few years before, and I was so busy at the time that I just said, we'll talk about that. Finally, there was time. And then when I joined up, I discovered that quite a lot of my friends were already judges. So I was coming into a club I already belonged to. So that was a lot.
I see this chemistry between you and Tim. So I mean, y'all play off each other really well. Guys, I'm sorry. You hear me talking about this. You have to actually visit. We're not allowed to videotape or take anything out of the classes at all. Sorry, guys. That's a no-no. Trust me, I begged John. He's like, no, because they're great. I mean, but I understand why you can't. But they are great. I mean, you can learn so much. People, if you're up and I'm gonna say this before we get wrapped up, but if you're upcoming writer or artist, these are the people to submit to because it's more than the win. Now, the win's great. Don't get me wrong. Everybody I talked to who won, all the winners had a great time. But it's what you learn, and it's not just about being an artist or a writer. There's a lot more that goes along with both those fields, like learning how to present yourself, how to deal with your money. All of that comes up in these conversations, and to me, it's just a fabulous thing. I mean, for somebody who is really talented, not myself, but somebody who's really talented. These are the people y'all need to submit to. Plus, the name carries weight now. It's 30, what we were going on 39 years now, right? This is 39 coming up. Yeah. And so the name carries weight. I would try. I mean, not everybody who's going to submit is going to win. That's obvious. But I will tell you this, and this is a little secret. Maybe Jody can talk about this a little bit. But they have, so sometimes they'll do like runners up and things like that. But I've noticed that they will try to help someone who's not a winner by giving them suggestions or ideas or, it's so that to me just smacks of, yes, let's help these people. So, I mean, what is this, Jody? I mean, do y'all just feel sorry for them or do you just see the talent? I'm sorry. I apologize, people. That was a bad place to go.
Really, we're trying to encourage them. If somebody has written a story good enough for an honorable mention, there's 4 grades of winning in the contest. Naturally, there's the finalists, and those are the ones who are judged every quarter to see if they're winners. And three of the 8 that we put forward to the other judges and to myself are part of the 12 who come to Hollywood once a year, usually in April. And there are also 10 semifinalists. They're the ones who are almost there, almost into finalist quality, but there's usually one thing that's holding them back, some little thing, maybe the ending of an otherwise excellent story wasn't quite there, or they kept repeating themselves. There's a fundamental flaw. And for them, they do get a feedback letter. David Farland was the coordinating judge before me. And I have some of the examples that he sent out. Katie Wentworth was coordinating judge also. And I have a few of her letters, and they are all very encouraging because we want them to try again. There's also silver honorable mention and honorable mention, and they get certificate so that some people submit quarter after quarter of going up the ranks, and a lot of people have amassed quite a number of honorable mentions. But you never know. Some people may jump right away. And that little bit of extra encouragement. And we've introduced a new wrinkle for the people who submit. Instead of just rejecting the ones that are not even honorable mention quality, we now have a rejected with comments so that they get feedback. Now, it's a general purpose letter. You have to read through it and determine which of those categories you fall into. Like, your story takes too long to get going. You've only got so much real estate in a short story. You have to get moving. You have to involve your reader in your plot. You have to introduce them to your character and make them care about the character. So we're trying to give them all the encouragement that they can.
That's good encouragement because
we only have 12 winner spots per year. So yes, the competition is tough, but the contest also features online writers' workshops that are free to download and watch. And a lot of encouragement. There are articles that are available to them, and some of them even in the anthologies themselves. So we're doing everything we can to try and help people win.
Y'all are great. No, I mean, y'all are great. I mean, I get to talk to all of these people, you know, winners, losers, in between. And one of the reasons why is because, in all fairness, and you probably haven't heard this, but when I first met John, he told me about Rice. I started laughing. I said, "You are so full of, you know what? There is no way, man. Nobody blind judges. Nobody's giving money." I said, "They make you pay to get in these contests." Now John's like, "No, I'm telling you." John's like, "No," because he had come to me about putting a show on the network, and he was telling me about Writers of the Future. I was like, "No, I don't believe you." And it took him and Emily a good year of threatening and killing me. And said, no, I'm sorry, guys. They're both sweethearts. But it took them a good year of talking to me just to even get me to come out to LA. I was like, yeah, I guess I'll come out there. And I was honestly not expecting to find what I find. I'm not even going to lie. I told both of them that. I said, first off, all the judges were very accessible. All of y'all were. If I wanted to ask a question, y'all answered it without a problem. No bitches, no moons. Not just mine. I'm talking about everybody who was there. I mean, y'all was the same way with everybody who was there, you know, who had won. And when I talked to the people, the winners, they didn't have, the only thing they had to put up, you know, pay for their tux and their food. And other than that, the writers paid for everything else. Guys, they fly them out from where they flew me, my boy, in from Australia last year. Mr. Blue Eyes is like a cop. I mean, come on, guys. First off, that's a nice flight, but that's an expensive flight. Even if you're flying coach, my friend, that's an expensive flight, especially round trip.
We had 4 Australians and 2 people from Great Britain.
Yes.
We've had people come in from all over the place.
Well, I told
writers are only from English-speaking countries generally, but the illustrators come from everywhere. We've had them from Russia, Tanzania, South Africa, and you would be surprised and delighted.
Yes. Well, you know, one of the things when John and I got together in the very beginning, I said, well, look, I said, I can offer you things like my audience is international. This show we're on right now goes to every country on the planet. There's not a planet. It even goes in North Korea, Venezuela, Vietnam, and places like that. The station's actually quite big in a lot of the Asian countries. But the station is general. We broadcast about 170 countries consistently, but this show is almost 30 years old, and it goes everywhere. And it surprises me when I pull up the list and see who are listening now. In all fairness, yeah, that's true, Jimmy. There's like 5 listeners in North Korea. But think of it like from this point of view. Who are they? Jojo Schmo on the street is not listening to us because they don't have internet to listen to us. This has to be somebody higher up and somebody that can't get in trouble for listening to American radio to start off with. So you know it's a somebody. That's what's kind of nice. The Middle East were huge. Iran, like in Tehran, in Iran, we have, I think we have around 70,000, 80,000 listeners on average over there. They're listening. What gets me is when I see these numbers in different countries, a lot of these countries are not English-speaking countries, but they're still listening. And it's bad enough. I mean, I have a pretty bad accent to start off with, so I can imagine trying to translate me into another language. But it's great. I mean, we've been around doing this for a long time. So I told him, because, you know, first year when I seen how many he had, and since we got involved, I've seen y'all about double the amount of international winners you have now, which is a great thing. I mean, I like talking to everybody. The little girl from Spain was great. At first, I think she was a little bit scared, and then once I got her talking, she was gone. She's having a good old time. But I will say this before I let you start talking again. Something I've learned, guys, illustrators, especially the winners, okay, the pro illustrators like Tom Woods and Echo, and then when you ask them, they chatty. They'll talk all day with you. They're very comfortable in their skin. They have great artwork, lots of credits to their background. So, but the other illustrators, it's hard to get more than 30 minutes out of them. I'm not kidding you. The authors, on the other hand, so the shortest interview I had with an author was 50 minutes. Most of them were rounding out about an hour and a half. The longest I had with an illustrator was 30 minutes. So it shows you there's a vast difference. But in all fairness to the illustrators, they don't really have that body of work yet to because authors can talk about a lot of different things, but illustrators need their work to talk about what they're doing. And I see, like with Echo and Tom, we just put it up on a screen and it just scrolled on for days and weeks and months. It's kind of like when I put yours up, they're going to scroll on for quite some time. So it's a different, but it's a strange thing to watch. And I tell them, I said, you got to present yourself to people. Don't be scared, because if you're scared, you're never going to get anywhere. You can be scared, you just can't let the person know you're talking to that you are. It's so what? All right, Kirk, I'll ask her. So Kirk, from where are you? From Abilene, Texas? Well, hello out there in Texas, man. Kirk wants to know if you had to give a single piece of advice to get someone started writing, someone who wants to write but hasn't had the I guess the braveness to sit down and write it out. He said, what would your single piece of advice be to get them to pick up that pen and start to write? Hey, she may use a typewriter. You don't know.
Find a way to get any kind of words on paper. I tell people there's a lot of ways to get started. One of them is, if you've got an idea, start writing it as if you were writing a letter to someone, maybe to your mom. And
What the hell?
who's calling you today?
Sorry, guys.
If you could just start out, dear mom, today I thought of an idea about a Martian sorry, my cat's been on my lap all this time.
Come on, cat. We allow pets on air with us.
That's right. And before you know it, you'll start getting things on paper, and then you can start organizing them, get your ideas in place. Another is, if it's just having trouble focusing, set a kitchen timer, set it for 15 minutes, sit down with your pen and paper or your laptop, and when you turn the little dial, start typing anything. And when the timer goes off, stop and do it again the next day. And before too long, you will find that you're anticipating, you're getting ready to write, you're getting your ideas in order. And if you can write 1 page a day, if you can write one single page a day, that's about 250 words in 90 days. 90,000 words is an average novel. In a year, you'll have a book. So just get it down on paper. Anything that will get your words out of your head and down is good.
See, that's a good idea. See, I've never even thought of doing it like that. I'm glad you said that, because I'm thinking, when it just pops in my head, I should write. That's setting up. That's a damn good idea. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to cut her off. I apologize, Jody. It just popped into my head. I'm trying to learn how to write, people. Emily keeps threatening me if I don't get a book. Look, I'm telling you, I'm scared of Emily. I see why John is so well behaved.
She will make you pay for that.
She will. She's mean. I'm telling you, she's a Canadian. we Emily and I got a running joke because she's friends with 2 of the Canadian hosts I have. One's in Toronto, one's in Niagara Falls, or Ontario, Niagara Falls. Sorry if I get in trouble. They follow the show, The Outer Realm, Amelia Pisano and Michelle DeRoche. And we're all kind of friends. We got a running joke about the Canadian women keep their men in cages in Canada. So we always ask John how he got out the cage. And people, you have to be here. What can I tell you? So what's that? So Sherry's asking. Oh, she was asking, how did you like working with Anne McCaffrey?
Oh, I loved working with Anne. She was very good to me. She was incredibly generous, and she was encouraging to all sorts of young writers. If she liked your work, she would tell the world, and then she would start asking you pointedly when the next one was coming. Are you finished with it yet? Is it coming up? She did not want you to sit and let things stew in your mind. She wanted you to get it out and get working. And having a cheering section like that was fantastic.
Oh,
when
I imagine it was.
She was very generous. She could have said any time, nope, we're going to do it exactly my way, and anything you do is not important. But if she liked my idea more than hers, we used mine. And I was very flattered, but she would have done that with anyone.
She was, I know, talking with Todd last week, she sounds like a fabulous mom and a fabulous writer to start off with. And I hate to admit this on radio, but I had never heard of the Pern before. I guess throughout my life in sci-fi and fantasy, it just slipped. I knew who Anne was, but for somehow or another, I guess that section just slipped through. So I had Todd. So since then, I've been trying to do a little bit of reading, but because I find out things like this. In my old life, I should say my younger life, I had more time to read. In this life, having a construction company, daytime radio station at night doesn't leave me much time anymore. So I always ask people, and this is for anybody who wants to do this, if they put anything on audio, just send it to me, because I'll plug it into my car or put it on my phone while I'm driving. I'm listening, because I do a lot of driving. So it's a good thing for me, but not all books, unfortunately, are done like that. So sometimes you have to break down and read. Now, my wife, who thinks she's God's next fastest reader on the planet. I remember I got her, Anne Rice had just come out with a vampire, her first vampire book. So I went and got, Interview with the Vampire. I went and got it a hard copy. It cost a little small fortune to get this little book. So I bring it home. Okay. And I left and went to do something. Came back, went to a friend's, came back. She said, okay, when's the next one coming? I said, you're kidding me, right? It was done. So before Katrina happened, we had roughly about 4,000 books in the house. She'd read every one of them. And with a whole wide range of topics. We had our own like mini Linden library we used to do for people to come over, and because it was a strange group of topics, from sci-fi to fantasy to ufology to paranormal to all kind of stuff in between. And you could donate a book, you could take a book, just it's like the little ones you see on the street, are just a little bit bigger. Unfortunately, Katrina decided that it didn't actually get in my house. It just got just enough water on the floors that it swallowed all the books. So they went from this big to this big. So they were pretty much ruined after that. And we've been making them back up. But she just reads like a demon. I've tried to get her to write because I know she can. She won't. My son can write, but he won't submit anything to write us in the future. I've actually read him a couple times. I said, you submit. I said, you're probably not going to win. I said, because you got things in here I can tell from listening to y'all talk that needs to be corrected. I said, but you got talent. You ought to submit. I said, you can't. I said, just. He said, well, Dad, I said, you're not going to win on my name. So I don't even think it's going to happen. I said, so, but I said, you might, if it's good enough, they might tell you, how you can make it better or something along those lines. And, but he's stubborn. He takes after his mom. What can I say? I'm just kidding, y'all. But I try to get everyone to submit now that I've been out and met all of y'all and had spent some time with y'all. I really do feel comfortable telling people you should submit, you should get invited out, you should go out, and you're going to learn a bunch. You're going to help. I even told some of my friends of mine who actually have published books but they haven't made a fortune. I said, you should submit a book. I said, they have rules, so check into them. I said, it's got to be 17,000 words or less. And I said, I forgot how much money you can actually make before they consider you to be a professional. I said, you'll have to go look, but it's on the websites. And I'm always telling everyone to go take the course. The course is great. First off, they got great teachers on the course, and you learn all kind of stuff. Wolf's got his support group over there, I like to call it. And there's just Wolf Moon, guys, if y'all don't know who I'm talking about. And then just some of the people that you're going to listen to speak, just to give you great information. And it's free. Yeah, no, it's free. Every time I say it's free, I'm looking. I asked Emily last night, I said, y'all making some money somewhere. Where are you tucking this in at? What are you charging for the website or something? I like to pick on about it, but it is. So now you get to mold these minds, and I don't want to say young minds because we both know that it can be anywhere from 17. Last year it was 17 to 70, wasn't it?
Yes.
I think the winner's right. Yeah, guys, this serious age is here, and that I have to say, my first year there, I think that was the thing that enlightened me, exhilarated me, and confused me the most, because I kept wanting to say young writers because it was stuck in the back of my head, not really thinking.
I call them like. So it doesn't matter if the winners are older than I am; they're still my kids.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, there was I know for not this year, but last year, myself and Echo and Tom, we had a little party after the gala, and a couple of writers came up, and one of them, he was 67, 68 at the time, and we got to talking. I asked him, I said, well, what was he? He said, well, I'm retired, blah, blah. And I said, well, how did you feel when you won? He said, I wish I had done this 30 years ago. And I was like, but
30 years ago, sometimes it takes a while for talent to develop, for skill to develop. And sometimes it comes like the young person who won at 16 and came to the event at 17. Just amazing.
Yeah, she was a little whirlwind. I talked to her. I did an interview with her first year. She was a little tiger. It's I'm just amazed at the age, just the range. And then Lazarus was there this year. He confused me because somebody introduced me to him. Hey, nice to meet you. We talk, and he's telling me he's an author. And then somebody else gave me another name. I'm like, wait, he's got two names. He said, yeah. I'm like, wait, I'm confused. I said, stop. And then I had to get him to explain. And then I didn't know he was related to Echo, and not related. You know what I mean? Yeah, the other half. And I read a story because I actually finally got to do some reading through. 38 was interesting because I got to read it once, but for some reason, by the time I got on an airplane to come see y'all, it was because I think Joni sent it to me in a whatchamacallit form.
PDF form.
Yeah, PDF. And so I read it that way, and then John had sent me the book out, and so I was reading on the airplane, and I guess it's sunk in better on the plane than it did when I read it the first time. But the stories were fascinating. And then I actually got to talk. See, it was different for me this year because I got to put the stories and the authors and the illustrators all together at one time because I had actually gone through and read. I knew what the hell I was talking about. But I also warned them last year or year before last. I said, look, I said, when a radio host says they read your book, ask him about the book. I said, now, if he's truly read it, he'll actually quote you stuff back out of the book if he's read it recently. If it's down the line, he probably won't. But I said, most of the time you'll find that they don't. I said, so you instantly can put the host on his back foot because he's just out. You just busted him lying. It's a strange thing to do this, but like I said, I enjoyed it doing. Also, okay, Karen. Karen wants to know what your first book was. First released book. I'm sorry.
Was my first book. I wrote. All right. To backtrack a little bit, I started out in game writing. So the first published works that I had were game modules. So I published them for Mayfair Games. Then I wrote Choose Your Own Adventure books for Tor Books under the Crossroads series begun by my husband. They were Choose Your Own Adventures, Chosen Path books, set in licensed worlds, like Anne McCaffrey's Pern, Piers Anthony's Xanth. And I had a lot of fun with those. My first published novel was Mythology 101. And I published it just about the same time as I did my first collaboration with Anne McCaffrey. And that was called The Death of Sleep. So they came out within a month of each other in 1990. But I had already published
six. That's it right there. Yeah, there's a cover.
That's it. That's the new cover.
Yeah. Well, so you must have been busting it right then, but 2 books back to back. I mean, you must have been just busting through it.
I have been very fortunate. I also was writing short stories around that time to begin with. My first short stories were in The Fleet, which was a shared world anthology like Thieves' World or Wild Cards, and continuing characters throughout the 6 books of that series and 2 more to follow with the new characters. So I've been doing a lot of short stories all these years as well as many books.
So Arlen's writing in from, where are you writing in from, Arlen? Oh, London. Hey, what's over there on the other side of the pond? Nice to see y'all over there. It's she wants to know, so she says she goes, okay, how the hell does she keep all these stories straight in her head? She's writing a novel, she's writing short. She said, how the hell she knows which one she's writing? I'm thinking, well, I don't know. Let me ask her. That was good.
That crossing over. I think if you talk to a lot of people who've been doing this a long time, it's almost instinctive that this bunch of characters stays in this set of short stories. This bunch of characters stay in my novels. I don't mix up the settings. I don't mix up the plots. And I'm not exactly sure how I do it, but I do it.
Well, it's I guess it's a talent you learn as you're doing it. I mean, I don't know how else to say that. I mean, because you have to be developing stories while you're working on stories. So, I mean, I guess you don't have to, but still, it seems like it would be the next logical step.
Well, last week, while I was working on a short story and working on a novel and reading stories for the contest, I also had to send in a couple of plots to an editor I'm working with for short stories to let him make his choice as to which one he wanted, and went right back to the one I was working on. So I guess it's something that you learn to do.
Yeah, it's got to, but that in itself is a talent, not just being an author, but being able to arrange that in your head is a talent in itself. It has to be the way your brain works or the way you trained it to work, one or the other. See, I'm good at compartmentalizing my brain, so that kind of works for me, but I can be thinking about one thing. So a friend of mine the other day was watching. I had 5 screens on. He's like, what are you doing? I said, on this one, I'm monitoring what's going on in the live show. I said, you see the screen tacking over there? I told him what's on. I said, this one right here, I'm actually doing a bid for my company. It's my daytime job. I said, this one over here is actually, I was listening to a recording of somebody who wants to be a host on a network. He said, how the hell you know it? I said, it's easy, man. I said, I said, to me, it's just all one thing. It's just so I can understand how you do that. Now, since I put the Dragons Guide to Pern, we've had 3 people ask, what is that? Who is that? And what is it about? So if you don't know okay, real quick, and then I'm going to let Jody answer that.
Okay.
Check out Anne McCaffrey.
Anne began with a novella called Weir Search. The protagonist, a young woman named Lessa, has been hiding herself in the castle where her parents actually ruled, but they were killed during a usurpation. And she actually has the talent going back now centuries to communicate with dragons, but there haven't been many dragons in past years. And she has learned to dread them, but suddenly they come looking for her because they need candidates for the last queen egg on Pern, the host mother of all of the fighting dragons that defend the planet against an airborne menace called Thread, which if it touches anything living, it shrivels it up, burns it. So the dragons were developed in order to protect Pern from a Thread, which is caused by a passing rogue planet that they call the Red Star. And once
there's actually some science to that. I'm sorry.
Yes, there is science to it. Anne worked with a biologist named Dr. Jack Cohen from the University of Birmingham in the UK to develop the science that created dragons. So there are a lot of books that begin. The first one is called Dragon Flight. So if you want to know about the series, start with that one. Don't start with Dragon's Dawn, which goes back in history to explain the dragons and how they were developed. But go to the first story because it's fascinating. It's interesting. It's harrowing. You'll love the heroine. You'll love the dragons because they are very cool. Who wouldn't want to have a gigantic creature who only loves you?
That's a plus. Sounds like one of them movies, one of those TV series that was out just recently. Was it not Vikings? What was the other one? See, guys, I don't get to watch any television anymore. And y'all were talking about that damn TV program like that drove me crazy. Not Vikings, the other one. Damn, I'm getting old bite sometimes, people. It's I don't know why I can't think of its name now. And everybody in their mouth, I'd scream at my wife, but she'd holler back at me. So it's
and the book on your screen is a companion guide to the Dragon Rider series. So it will tell you a lot about the world and specific characters, customs, even recipes.
So, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's so. Well, no, Peter, this is just where I stopped because this is where we were cruising. This, see, I'll just click since y'all are bugging me. Oh, well, there's Ann. Hello, Ann. Nice to see you there. Mm-hmm. I know she's so sweet looking. I'm telling you. It's no, wait, what's this one? I see space stuff. See, I'm a geek when it comes to space stuff. So.
Oh well, you would like the Brainship series then if you never have read it. It began with a wonderful book called The Ship Who Sang by Anne. That children who are born with severe disabilities can still fly spaceships or become the beating heart of a city, because once they're encapsulated in these devices, they can control systems through their thoughts and nerve motions. It's a remarkable series. So the first one came out, and Anne wanted to write more in it, but she didn't have time to do it herself. So she enlisted a number of junior writers, including me, and I think Mercedes Lackey, Margaret Ball, Stephen S.M. Sterling. And we wrote follow-on stories in the world, so that it was not just Helva and Herbraun, but other pairs in that type. They had a brain and a brawn. The brain is the encapsulated person who is able to do amazing things, including flying a spaceship, which is what you see there. That's Carial, and her brawn, the person who comes and goes for her and is her companion, is named Kef. And the two of them had adventures together. They even play a version of Dungeons and Dragons. So they're terrific books. The first one will make you cry, and the others are good adventures. And
well, I can always do a good cry. People, yeah, I'm a big ugly guy, but I'm not admit this. I can cry. It's no, y'all know I'm a big sci-fi geek. I mean, come on, I got a bachelor's in science, people. People get confused sometimes because I do a lot of things on the show, like having Mitchell Keiko on, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Paula. We've done some serious science, but even though it's a big thing to me because I like talking to these guys. They are probably the worst rated shows I've ever done. We geek out in science, and I think we just like the audience. Like, what the hell are these guys talking about? It's just, but I love them. It's a great thing. So I love a good science adventure or any kind of sci-fi adventure. It's anything that can take my mind off of what I'm thinking about, which is a hard thing to do to start off with.
Mhm.
But Chrissy writes in. Chrissy's actually out in San Francisco, California. She said, "I don't understand." She said, "You've had some great writers on lately with great books." She said, "Why is Hollywood having such a damn hard time finding material?" She said, "You've introduced us to tons of it." She said, "I'm confused." I said, "Maybe Hollywood forgot how to read."
Well, part of it is there's so much money involved in Hollywood that they're afraid to take. When you see an independent movie maker, they are able to take chances because they don't have the whole studio and shareholders hollering in the background saying, "You'd better make money or else." So they want to go for something that's very certain. And that means doing the same things over and over again, or doing derivative programs that take off from something else. When they take chances, when they have a piece of good material, they can do really well, but they're just timid about it.
I wish they wouldn't be, because really and truly, she's right. Between in the last few years, I've been exposed to a lot of material, even some of Elron's old stuff. And there's just a lot of good books out there that could be made into good movies, or not even. They don't even have to go that far. Start out with a little TV show, maybe just a made for TV movie or something. Just because there's a good stuff there, like Netflix. Netflix is. I've been talked to. I've had Netflix call me 3 different times wanting to do 3 different types of shows, which I'm interested in, because it always ends up turning into a, how can I say this politely? Anyway, it just turns out bad. They want to use you and abuse you, for whatever they get, and embarrass anybody they can because they think it helps get ratings.
And Amazon have been taking chances by making new shows. Mm-hmm. Some of them have been amazing.
Yeah, because there's a lot of good. There's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of good stuff out there, and why don't they just start hiring writers again and say, hey, look, give me something worth, making a TV series. It's. I feel like, and I don't know how to say this, but I kind of feel like that they've just like lost their way, and I really feel like a lot of them have forgotten how to read. I'm just being honest. Just a lot, and I'm sure these writers were geeked out when they were young, reading their brains out. So it's got to be in their head somewhere, but still, it just never seems to make it. Now we're going to remake Star Trek 800 times, which I'm not hating. I like Star Trek, but come on, how many times can we remake it? We had Star Wars. How many? We got 9 movies, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 series. It's okay. I love Star Wars too, but guys, can't we do something different here? And I just, it's like Avatar. I'm sure we're going to end up like 10 avatars before it's all said and done, but it's
a little of it is that people love something so much they want more of that. When I was growing up, there was Star Trek. There was Star Trek, the original series, and there was nothing else.
Yeah.
So people started writing their own Star Trek stories, and some of them got published because other people were getting desperate for them too. And it's given rise to an incredible series of novels, original stories, that people just want more of the things they love. So that's why you get a lot of repeats and new movies, series set in the same world. People want more, and the studio give them something they actually demand.
And then they get more and they bitch. It's not close to canon. It's not this. It's not. Matter of fact, I finally caught up on Obi-Wan the other day, and I don't know where I was, and this guy just starts going on. What are you talking about? Oh, they can't do this. I said, okay, well, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm moving on. And then it's like Star Trek Discovery. For some reason, you either hate it or you love it, and I'm not sure why. And I tell people all the time, I don't feel like it's real Star Trek, but I do think it's good sci-fi. If you want to watch it for sci-fi, I'm fine with that. But if you're going to try to fit it in the Star Trek universe, you're going to have a lot of issues. From the 29th century, where the Doc got his mobile emitter from, on the other Star Treks. I mean, they forget that they've been time traveling all over. We kind of got an idea what these centuries are like. So it just got a little crazy. But I like Strange New Worlds, and I am a Star Trek fan. I'm not going to lie, and I am glad to see them going back to just storytelling and not these big evolved whole season jaunts that we got to go through. There's lots of that going on out there. And then there's series like a friend of mine wrote to me about a year ago. He writes to me, he said, you need to watch Altered Carbon. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, it's on Netflix. You got to go watch it. I'm like, So, all right, dude. So I turn it on. I got a rule. Usually in the first 5 minutes, if I see TNA, I turn it off because I figure that's what the movie's going to be about. And unfortunately, in this series, there's a lot of that, but there's a lot of really good science and some really good actors. And I was like, wow, Netflix canceled it. It's too grief. It had a steady listener. I mean, it had a steady viewership that just wasn't growing. So they said, no, Netflix got a rule in case y'all notice, ladies and gentlemen. I know this for a fact. Almost anybody can get a series on Netflix, by the way. It's just if your audience stops at any time, you get canceled. It has to always be on an up curve, or they're not, or they don't feel like they're making money. So in other words, even if it's a good series and 2 million people are watching it, if it's not picking up, guess what's going to happen? It's going to go the way of the dodo bird. I don't understand quite why, but I'm not in that particular line of work either. What's that, Glenn? No, Glenn. Oh no, I'm sorry, Glenn. I just seen Glenn. Don't get nasty with me, to G's and Pete's. Where are you from? Sydney, Australia. Oh, I got some friends down in Sydney, man. There's some good people down there. She wants to know if you go. Do you tour anywhere? Do you tour like a? You mean does she go on tour like on other countries with book signings and stuff like that? I don't know, Jody. Do you?
Generally, if I'm traveling, I'll stop into bookstores, but book tours are usually the kind of thing that the headliner writers do. So I have been to Australia. That was a long time ago now, for the 1999 Worldcon. So I stopped into bookstores in Sydney and Melbourne and had a great time. So if I'll put it on my website if I am ever going to a bookstore in another country, or if I have I've set up a signing. So
yeah, because I guess it's hard to tell where you're popular at, huh? I said I guess it's kind of hard to tell where you're popular. I mean, when people buy your books, do you know where they're buying them from? Or are they just going through Amazon? Or
I don't. When I get the royalty statements, it doesn't tell you where they're.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's just business. Well, no, that's what I'm saying, Glenn. Glenda, you just don't know. We don't know a lot of times. See, I can see y'all. All right, real quick. If you're on the FSM side, I know you're in New Orleans or you're around the surrounding Gulf Coast. Okay, I know that already. If you're on the internet side, it actually shows me what server you're on. So I usually have a pretty good idea of what country or what city you may be in. So that's a little bit different. But that's internet. You can't really do that with FM radio, but you can do that with internet because somebody has to log in somewhere. So we track them. That's why we can see our listenership and live audience, except for the FM, which we have to be audited for. We can see everything else in live time, which is nice. That's why we have our numbers at the end of shows, because we can see them as we're going. Right now, I can see 14 different servers. We're on 122 worldwide servers, but I keep 14 as our primary servers that we consider our busiest ones. American servers, Asian servers, European servers, stuff like that, EU servers, things like that. We just name them. It's not necessarily where they are. We just name them so we have a good idea of what group that's listening to us. Crystal. Wait, what is it, Crystal? Oh, okay, I know. So, first, I want to know where you're writing in from, Crystal. Where you writing in from? DC. Oh, I don't know if we're taking your question. I don't know if we're taking no DC questions. Yeah, see, y'all got me in trouble with that the other night. Trump or Biden. We're not going nowhere near that tonight. No, bad people. Anyway, Crystal wants to know what is out of your collection. She wanted to know. She had two questions actually. She wanted to know what your favorite book was out of Anne McCaffrey's collection, and what your favorite book is out of your collection, if you have one out of your collection.
Anne's collection? Oh, the one that probably won my heart first was, I think, Dragon Singer. I was ready for something like that. It was a teenage girl who has incredible musical talent, but her family doesn't appreciate her. And she runs away from home and discovers a nest of tiny dragons, fire lizards that hatch out, and she ends up taking care of 9 of them. And eventually finds her way to a place where she is appreciated and her fire lizards are marveled at. So I think that was my favorite of Anne's. As for my own books, I love all of my children.
See, I told you that's what she's going to say. Yeah, because I would be the same way.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me the other day what was my favorite radio show I've ever done. I said, of my own personal ones? I'm like, I couldn't tell you that. Now, if you ask me about somebody else's show that I've done, that could be different. But I wouldn't say because it would cause trouble. So she'd have to catch me in a private conversation. It's no, really, because I had mentioned one time I was doing a show out of DC, a television show, and the host had asked me something about some private shows in which are these hosts I like, and stupid me actually said I preferred one of the hosts. Oh, I got emailed for 6 months. People said I ain't never happening again. So it was dumb on my part. I thought I was being nice, but I was young and naive. What can I tell you? Okay. Wait, yeah, I agree with you, Mike. There's a lot going on in this picture right here I'm looking at. Advanced mythology. So what is advanced mythology? I know.
That's
Go
the
ahead, I'm
fourth
sorry.
series, and they all have names like textbooks. The first one is called Mythology 101,
Mm-hmm.
and concerns the young man that you see on the cover on the right, Keith Doyle, who is a college student, and he believes in magic fervently, never realizing that it's right under his feet, the basement of the college library that's on campus. In fact, the college library that he is campaigning to have torn down and replaced with a better one, therefore just about to render his new friends homeless. So, but comedy ensues, and he manages to make things okay in the end. But Keith is an energetic, friendly, very smart, but sometimes a little reckless young man. And I really love the series. It's a lot of fun. It's very gentle. And Keith is, in many ways, a wish fulfillment character for me because I wish I could be as outgoing as he is.
Mm. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't learn to get very outgoing until later in life. I wish I would have learned at a younger age. Micah is writing in from, where are you writing in from? Oh, British Columbia. Hey, what's up over there on the West Coast in Canada? How's things going? Oh, he wanted to know, do you have someone else do your artwork? Sorry, for some reason it was hard to read that.
Someone else do my art?
Yeah, he wanted to know if you were illustrating or if somebody else was.
We don't get to choose our own covers or our own cover artists. I was privileged in the beginning to get to choose or get to tell the artist what to put on the cover because my editor was overwhelmed by something that happened at the publishing house at that time. But most of the time, very, very few authors get to have any say whatsoever because it's considered a marketing decision. And the marketing department is something separate and apart.
You know, over the years, because I've talked to many authors. I mean, the network itself. I mean, I've lost track of probably more than 10,000-15,000 by now. And because I mean, we do 200 and what are we on right now? 260 hours a week of broadcasting. So and some of the shows only do authors, like Church of Mavis. They only do authors. They don't do anybody else but authors. They dedicate that, and up and coming and professional both. But over the years, I've found that some of these publishing houses can be kind of cruel in the way they do the money split. They tell me if you're a rookie at Amazon, you might as well not even publish. I was like, you kidding me, right? And then about not having no say in a lot of things that goes on. And a lot of and some of the younger ones were telling me even sometimes they want to make changes in the book and they don't have any say so in it. And I was like, well, that bites. But I guess if you really want to get known, you got to put up with crap like that. Because once you, I'm sure once you make it to a certain, level, they treat you a little bit different. But
that is true. That is true. Because they've already once you get to that stage, you've already proven that you can make the money.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to make choices and tell them that you have something that you want that they can't say no to. Because if you're a marketable commodity, you can walk.
They, hold on, let me put this demon down. I came and just hang out with us for a minute. That's my little black alien. People just ignore it. It likes to visit every once in a while. It gets so cold in my house, we keep a sweater for it. I'm just kidding. For anybody who writes me a letter, I was just teasing. It's a little chihuahua, 4 pounds. And it is strange, though, that you would think somebody's publishing. I guess they get a lot of books submitted. In all fairness, they probably get a lot of stuff submitted.
Oh, they do.
And I'm sure a lot of it is less than publishable. I'm just trying to be polite, people. We were being halfway woke today. It's just hard to watch because I know a lot of people who want to get out there and write, and that's why I think these contests can help them out. At least they might get a paying job out of it. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can be an independent publisher, but in the beginning, most of the authors I've talked to, excuse me, were working for someone. Writing for someone would like with I heard Jody was talking about being in games. I've heard a couple of people writing mods or writing different things for games. I I've heard people developing stories like right now in New Orleans, they've got their company down here. They're hiring 100 employees at $125,000 an employee, and they need everything. They need authors, they need illustrators, they need tech people. He owns a number 2 gaming company in the world. He decided to just bring it to New Orleans for some reason. But those are all jobs that you can go to. But I doubt he's going to give you $125,000 a year if you're a nobody. And wait, let me rephrase that. You have to have at least some kind of writing to your credit, something that they can at least go read and see if it's worth hiring yourself. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but really and truly, that's what it comes down to. Well, I'm sure they'd love to have somebody like Jody because she could probably write circles around everybody. But you're independent now, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm working with Bain Books, and I would cheerfully work with other publishers. I have written for, I think, 5 or 6 of them, and a couple of small presses.
I got to get her in the hot seat yet, too. I haven't had a chance to get her in the hot seat, but we're going to get there sooner or later. Slowly but surely. Well, because I got to meet her, was it last year? It was not this year, but last year I met her. And, but figure it out, people. Yeah, I've heard me talk about this before 100 million times. It's, sorry. Stop with this spamming. If you want to ask me a question, that's fine, but don't spam because I'll kick you out the room because you'll irritate me. What's the question? Just, Donnie, just ask the question. Go ahead. Y'all stop spamming. Okay, that's fair enough. So Donnie wants to know, how do you go about approaching a company to say you've got a couple of books published, but not for anybody, you've self-published or something like that. That was a 2-part question because he actually asked you what you thought about self-publishing. But he said, how would you go about approaching a publishing company that would make you at least look like something they might want to hire or bring on board?
They don't want to hire you. They want to publish your books. You're not going to get a job with the publishing house. What you are doing is showing them that you have published something successfully. If you're talking about having done 2 books independently, well, how many copies have you sold? Or have they gotten good reviews? Do you have an online presence? Because I have actually talked to a publishing house that doesn't want anybody who doesn't have a media presence of some kind, Facebook, website, Instagram, TikTok, something, so that you can aid in your own self-promotion. But those 2 books, if they have sold enough copies, are not really candidates for your publishing house you're approaching. If you've done well with them, though, and you have a 3rd book that you want to sell them, then they'll be willing to talk to you if you've done well with the other 2. There are a very, very few exceptions to this rule. One of them is Larry Correia, who had hundreds of thousands of people buy his Monster Hunter books online, and Bain Books came and said, we'd like to put you into paper press. How would you like to have us publish your books in actual paper covers and hardcovers? And they came to an agreement on that. Hugh Howey, who wrote Wool, he's another one. But there are very few who have made that jump. Usually the books that you have published online independently stay there. But they are your resume for approaching a publisher and saying, okay, I did these books. You can look at them if you like. Here is a manuscript that I wish to sell to you, specifically to you. And one of the things you have to keep in mind is you need to send it to the publishing house that is going to publish that kind of thing. So you have to do your homework and figure out who to approach. So that's part of the problem is a lot of people say, well, I published this online and 150 people bought it and my mother loves it. And the person is going to say, give us something else. Let's see something else. Let's see something new. And then you have to knock their eyes out. You need to attract their attention. Usually, unfortunately, that means you enter the slush pile, which is a huge, huge pile of manuscripts, usually electronic now. Read the website of each publishing house for their submission guidelines. And what will happen is your manuscript will go into a pile, or rather a queue, for their editor will take a quick look at it. Sue Stone, who used to work for Ace Books, said she gave it the 2-page test. She would check out every manuscript, and remember, this was in the days when she was getting a 5-foot-high stack of manuscripts every month. And, she would sit on the bus or the subway on the way home to read them. If it passed the 2-page test, if she was taken up by it, if it got her interest, then she would give the 20-page test, and she would go on through the manuscript to see what it was like in the middle, and then she would read the ending to see if you could stick the landing. And at that point, it went to a reader, somebody who would read the manuscript and give a detailed report to the publishing house about the manuscript. Yes, there were some that Sue rejected outright. But once the report came back, it was yes, no, or maybe, and with the reasons why. The no's, of course, went back to the writer. The yeses went for consideration to the senior editor, and the maybes got discussed. So at that point, the yeses go into the marketing meeting, which was held, I think, every Tuesday or first Tuesday of the month. And it's by no means certain that anything is going to pass that point, because they only have so many that they publish every month.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff being submitted. I know that, Lord.
Be good at getting your eyes out right away.
What's that, Michael? No, I do know a couple of self-publishers. Green. Yeah, over the years I've met them from doing from interviewing authors. You mean, do I have a favorite? I've never published anything. I couldn't tell you who you should go talk to. I mean, I've talked to all of them. They all seem to be reasonably decent people, and their company seem to be okay. But I mean, I don't know what kind of money they make, what kind of reach they got. You're talking to the wrong person. It's just because they come on a radio show doesn't mean we know that we know them, but we don't know that much. We don't really get into that kind of detail. And you know who you can ask that question? Jeffrey Pritchett deals with a lot of the self-publishers. It's one of his things he likes to do. He works closely with, I think, like 4 of them, so he can probably give you a good idea. I don't know. I wouldn't tell you. Would you have a preferable self-publisher? I mean, anybody you would recommend, or that's a hard one.
Who really knows self-publishing? Talk to Craig Martell, who runs the 20 to 50K program, where he discusses how to get a stream of income. Once you have published 20 books, he doesn't see any reason why you shouldn't be making $50,000 a year off them, because they'll be producing royalties, and that's passive income while you're writing something else. You could talk to one of the small press publishers. John Hartness of Falstaff Books is a good guy, and he publishes a lot of varied, terrific books. And he has wonderful covers besides. That is not true of every small press. Let me see. I think there are a lot of people online who have things that they could discuss with you. There are plenty of Facebook groups where you can jump in and say, I have this question. Reddit is another good source for that. You can something up in publishing or writing and say, I have this question. Can anybody give me any advice or steer me towards someone who knows?
Yes. Selma, I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Michael, to answer your question, actually, I heard them say this while we were there. Don't get your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister or your cousin to review your book. Go get a real review. Because, mom's going to be, oh, it's so good. It might be horrible. So you need to go get somebody who's going to say, oh, my God, really? What are you doing with this, man? I'm just saying, get other than your family. You can let your family review it too, but I mean, just for hope and sake, get someone else to,
I knew that my mother could no longer read my books and give me criticism that helped. And I felt sad about that, because then I had to look elsewhere.
Yeah, because some parents are honest. See, when my son asks me stuff, I'm honest with him, but a lot of them just can't do it. They're just like my grandmother. She said, I can't be mean like that. I'm like, whatever. Because you're only doing them harm if you don't help them out. I mean, you really want your children to succeed. What was that, Salim?
Readers carefully, though. You don't want somebody who's going to knock you down just to satisfy themselves. You want someone who will give you honest, constructive criticism. And that's not easy to find, because you are also a great big favor. Please read my book for me, which may be full of flaws.
Hey, what's that, Mike? Oh, no, yeah. You mean my wife? Oh, God, yeah. She's brutal. Oh, no. When I do lectures and stuff, when I get down, she'll tell me exactly where. No. but I expect that. I actually need that. I used to make her come with me and dress my ass. What are you talking about? Now she stays at home because you're too old to be dressing. But no, because we traveled a lot. We used to do a lot of lectures, 30, 40, sometimes 50 a year, and it just is a lot. And then we did a lot of online stuff and a lot of other stuff. So now I travel by myself, which is not quite the same. Yes. Oh, thank you, Denise. I don't have my slave with me. Yeah, I'm sure she would like that. Trust me, she's nobody's slave. Anyway, Salim, what was that? What were you? I seen your question go by, but they started on a BS. So what was it? Oh, okay. Oh no, I don't know, but maybe Jody knows. Dean and them were talking about something they were using to make money with. That guy made a bunch of money with his book, like 42 million or something. Or
Brandon Sanders. Brandon's
yes,
in a unique position because he runs writers groups. He teaches at, I think, Brigham Young University, but he also puts lots of stuff online. So he has an enormous presence on the web,
yes,
and he has a huge fan group for his own books and the books that he wrote after Robert Jordan passed away. So he has a lot of presence. So when he put up this amazing Kickstarter and it's made $15 million at first, and then went on to something like $44 million. That's an anomaly. Most
yes.
people are lucky if they can get a few thousand out of a Kickstarter. What Brandon did was extraordinary.
Oh, and Carol, if you don't make your whatever you set up in the beginning, if you set up 5,500, if you don't make it, you don't get any of the money. Oh no.
So make us modest.
Yes, set your goal. I agree with Joe. Set your goals modest, because if you don't, well, you don't know what you're going to get. I was talking to somebody else at the conference who did it, and they made about 10, 15,000. They were only trying to get like 2, but that's still, you don't know if that's going to happen. And it also talks about reach. I mean, you've got to let people know that that's there so they can even go find it. I mean, it's not like they broadcast you all over the planet or anything. So you're not, what do you mean average? No, I charge for advertising on my 14 Facebook pages. Yes, I most certainly do. Sorry. It goes from $100 to $5,000. It depends what you're looking for. Yes, well, I have 14 Facebook pages with 1.2 million people on them. Of course. What do you think? I still do. I still sell pages. Yeah, we build pages on Facebook and sell them. We've been doing it for a long time, just like we do domain names. But you can, just believe it or not, you can make money that way. But if you've got a good Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or whatever presence, TikTok's a weird thing, because I wasn't going to get in TikTok because everybody I know is addicted to it. I'm like, what are you doing, TikTok? What are you doing, TikTok? What are you doing, TikTok? I was like, what the hell are you doing, TikTok? It's like, what the hell, man? So I finally had to go look at it as well. And then I put my dog on, the one I had on my shoulder. She's famous now. She's already got 1,400 followers. I'm like, look at this little hussy. I mean, she's already ranking them up there. She gets a couple more, gets up to about, 25,000. I can start making money on a little bit. But those kind of things, you can actually make money on those. You can make money on Twitter. You can make money on Facebook.
YouTube.
So you can, but and then if you can do Kickstarter and set a modest goal, and you've got a way to get out to a bunch of people, you might make some money. But, don't go over there just because you think you can, make money for whatever BS reason, because I don't think you're going to. I think you're going to waste their time, our time, and everybody else's time. My own personal opinion. Actually, Dean kind of broke me into the Kickstarter. He told me about it last time we were down there, and he was helping out one of our mutual friends, Dennett Preston. He was who won 3 years ago. After 48 attempts, he won. Yeah, see, guys, you don't necessarily going to win first time. Don't get me wrong. There's first time winners, and there's third and fourth and eighth and 10th and everything in between. But so you can win on your first submission. It's not unheard of. In the last 2 years I've been there, there's been a couple people won first, but usually
did win the first time they entered.
I'm thinking most of y'all are going to be somewhere. Most of the answers I got from the authors were between 12 and 22, somewhere up in there. There were a few longer, a few shorter, but it's somewhere up in there on average. Well, actually, with Wildman, they kind of helped him along. He submitted. It was like what we were talking about earlier in the show, and then he actually got a good book in it, and got a good story in it, and won. Luke Wildman, there's a couple of them I talked to like that. Yeah, that they, because of the help they got from Writers of the Future, they finally got a good enough book to win. Well, I'm not saying you can't. You can write. You might write, and Jody might go, "Oh my God, best writer I ever seen." Then again, she might go, "Okay, who sent me this?" Well, they got kind of the same kind of test over there. So, no, the judges do read. The judges. I'm sorry, the blind judge, it is true. So they have a reader. Actually, got two readers, and they read, and then whatever goes back and forth, and then they send these books with no name, no nothing, just a number. Nobody knows what color you are, what sex you are, how do you identify yourself. None of that matters to the judges. All it matters is a story in front of them. And I've talked to all the judges now, so it's true. And so you're being judged on your work and nothing else. That in itself in our woke society is almost unheard of. I'm serious. I've dealt with a lot of people have asked me to get behind their companies and push because we have a huge reach. But I mean, right now we're doing 14 million live, 14 million in syndication every week. That's damn near 30 million people a week, and not just here but around the world. So it's I'm not going to get behind just anybody, but these guys, everybody I've met has been fabulous. And I'm going to talk to Jody about something else that just cracks me up when I'm there. So Jody, I'm watching you and Tim one day, and I think it's like the second day, maybe the third day, I'm not sure, but it's all of a sudden y'all tell these guys, these individuals, you have to write a story in 24 hours. Now, first off, I got to say, I love, even though they know this is coming, at least some of them do, the expression on their faces are just great. I mean, it's like, what? It's just great. And then when it's over with and they're all downstairs talking around in the lounge downstairs, and I'm like, how y'all gonna do this, guys? And they're just a sheer panic. Some of them now, not so much, but some of them, they're just sheer panic in their eyes. And it's kind of sad and funny all at the same time. But y'all get to pick. I mean, y'all give them kind of a basis of what. Sorry about that, guys. What the hell? All right, so my alarm system just went off. Sorry about that, guys. It's probably something going through the studio. I usually keep the door shut, but since I turned all the ACs off, I left it open. Anyway, that is my burglar alarm. It sounds like a rooster. It's a dog. Okay, for y'all getting any ideas. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What do you want to know?
Oh wait, now I forgot where we were. Thanks to my damn dog. What were we talking about? My brain just went right out to the dog.
We're talking about the 24-hour story.
Oh yeah. So going back to that. So first off, I mean, y'all kind of give them at least a base of the story, right? Something to go with, to work with. Because I know I've seen you and Tim talking about it one day, but I wasn't exactly sure what y'all were doing.
I loved working with Tim. We've known each other a really long time, and
He's fun.
He's just a terrific guy. We had a couple of long discussions before we got to the event, and he said that he gives them a small object to use as a story prompt. So here's a Munchkin card. Here's your story prompt. Or here's a chopstick. Go forth and let it inspire you. And the object does not have to appear in the story, but it should inspire it in some way. So I added a bunch of things to the collection, and Tim said that one year they gave one of the writers an ice cube, and they said, "Thank you." So they knew that within a few minutes the thing would be a little puddle of water. What was the inspiration going to be the writer? And that is all we give them, except for at 2:00 you leave the room, you begin your story, and you come back at 2:00 tomorrow, and we're going to pick 3 of them and critique them. So
yeah, that's fun. That's I got to sit through part of that. I had to go somewhere for a little while, but I got to sit through part of that. And
very supportive of them. Answer a question or two, but for them it's buckle down time, and it's amazing how much a deadline can focus your mind. We had some, I think, phenomenal stories. One of which the writer, I think, knew that writing the ending would be longer than they were prepared to deal with, so gave us an ending that didn't feel quite right. But I think with putting the correct ending on it would be a perfectly sellable story, which they wrote in 24 hours. And there was another one that had a very complicated structure of melding past with present, alternating scenes. Phenomenal job. absolutely phenomenal. I was very, very impressed with how well they did in that short a time. That proves that these kids have the chops to be professional writers.
They
So,
they do. I mean, I was watching, and there was some intense face. I noticed in the very beginning there was like a little bit of panic, and then after I was talking with a couple of them down, and then I noticed some of them went up to their room, some went other places, but about half of them stayed right downstairs down there in the lounge area, yeah. And and they cordoned off different sections and got in different places and started writing. And they were serious. I mean, they didn't even notice me taking pictures of them. That's how serious they were. Because I was milling around a bunch of them. Just I was in a couple of like Wiener's face. I was in his face going. He didn't even notice I was there. It's just a whiner. I'm sorry, guys.
And, everything. I have all of them. I have them in a file here. And when I'm finished with this particular quarter, I'm going to look them over and give a couple of comments to them. Again, they threw their whole soul into it. They showed the reason that they were there. They showed the reason that they were that good and they deserve to be in that group. So I'm very proud of them. They did a terrific job. And Tim and Dave used to say that we choose the stories that we're going to critique by taking the pile and throwing them down the stairs, and the three that traveled the farthest were the ones that we critique. We actually have video of us doing that.
Mm.
And no,
we actually chose. So well, if it works, you never know. Sometimes weird stuff works. You never know. Denise, just go to writersofthefuture.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can submit right there. Yeah.
The rules are right there. You can submit once a quarter. We are 8 days from the next deadline. So please, if you've got something, send it now. But if you still need to work on it, that's fine. Send it in before September 30th.
They got a blog there. They've got all kind of class stuff there. There's a lot of stuff you can go through if you need help or a little bit of guidance. Mm-hmm. I was listening. Was it Arson Scott Carter's? I don't know. I was listening to one of them a couple of weeks back because I was having problems with. My biggest problem about writing has always been the filler, the stuff in between what I'm writing about. Walking down the street in a sunny day with the green grass, stuff like that. That's always been the hardest thing for me. I could write a documentary all day long. It's just the way my brain works. So because of y'all and them and a couple of the course, and between the course and y'all, I've actually started learning how to put that filler in there and not be stupid with it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's your setting.
Yes. Okay. See, I don't even know what take cards say.
There shouldn't be any boring bits. Everything that is there needs to make the story move along.
Yeah, because the thing I'm writing about right now is about an experience someone had, an 11-day experience in Gulf Breeze, Florida. And it's really complicated, unfortunately. And it'll make for a good read because there's always something going on. Even if it's just the people walking on the beach watching the beautiful sunset in Pensacola, in Gulf Shores. But still, I don't know how y'all just sit there and write. My brain goes, and then it just stops. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So I like your idea of setting a time every day, and I think that might work better for me.
It will make you focus.
Yes, I do agree. I think that will work better for me. Samantha, what do you have? And where you writing in from, Samantha? Where?
What are you asking?
Oh, in Scotland. I haven't seen anybody write in from Scotland in a while. What the hell y'all doing up there? You worried about the war? They're going to invade Scotland. No, they're not invading Scotland. Oh my God. He's actually got a couple of questions here. One, he wants to know what's your favorite genre to write in. Is it a book? Is it paper, pen, pad, computer?
I've been writing on my keyboard for years now. I'm okay with writing on paper if I need to, but I have gotten very much into writing on my keyboard. And sometimes I talk to a recording device. But any way to get the story down. I had a story idea a little while ago, and I put it into the notes function on my phone.
If it helps you to remember, that's the way to do it. I put stuff in my phone all the damn time.
What's the other half of the question?
Where did he go? I just lost him on the screen. Y'all scrolling like at warp speed in here tonight. Oh, he wanted to know what your favorite genre to write in was, or write about was. I'm sorry.
Oh. Humor mostly. I like to write humorous stories. If you want to be depressed, watch the evening news. But
Yes.
I'm going to try and cheer you up, take your mind off of it, and usually that requires something funny. So I'm very happy to try and cheer you up.
You know, I think that's one of the things that got me hooked in early sci-fi and even in fantasy, because there's always a little bit of, like Star Trek, there's always a little humor in there somewhere. Even in the worst stitch of humor, somebody's going to crack a dumb joke or something, because that's how humans work. That's how our brains really work. You know, some of us are going to panic, but some of us are going to be like, well, you know, we're going to die. Might as well have a little fun. And that's why I think when I see them try to reproduce certain series and they leave that section out, I get kind of like, well, wait, you're missing part of what goes on. It's supposed to be in there. Don't get overly serious. I want to, what was it? BSG. A lot of people bitch because the new BSG was too serious. Now, let's be honest. The old BSG was too campy, depending on how you want to look at it. So maybe they needed a middle ground. I don't know. It wasn't that important of a series to me, but still, man, I had people griping all the time. I'm like, stop. They actually came on and did a show about it. I was like, oh Lord, people. They want to do there's a group wants to come on right now and go over all the Star Trek series. I'm like, I don't know about that. I said, let's not be hacking off Paramount at me, people. Don't want to go there. It's interesting to see. Martha, where'd you go? I just seen your question go by. Martha, where are you writing in from? Oh, Chicago. Hey, up there in Chicago. What's up there? It's hot up there too, isn't it? Yes, it's hot as hell up there, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but I see what it is. So she's actually written a couple of books, and she's had a couple self-published. She said the most she's ever sold in any one run was 5,000. She averages usually how many books? 7. She's got 7 books out. So
that's pretty good going.
Yeah, the last one she sold was about 5,000. She said before that they range anywhere from 250 to 1,500. She said mostly sold off of her Facebook pages and her Instagram and her Twitter. She's asking, is there any shortcuts to that? Or do I just need to keep plugging away?
Keep plugging. What you are doing is laying the foundation for 20 books that will eventually become passive income for you while you're writing other things. You're doing it exactly right too. The more that you present to your fans in a timely fashion, I think an important thing that I got from Jade Lee, who is a mostly online writer, Regency Romances, she said, get a schedule going of how much you're going to put out when, and make sure that people know when they can expect content. If it's a short story, if it's a character sketch, if it's a novella. She writes a novel every 3 months. But in the meantime, she's also putting out other material that her readers can enjoy. So if people know when to expect something from you, they'll start to look for it. And word of mouth helps. So go do talks at libraries, go do talks at conventions. Depends on what your genre is, where you're going to find your readership. But if you keep on plugging and then, say, cross-promote with somebody who writes the same kind of books you do, that can help boost things a little bit.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because Jack lives in Atlanta, and he said he was going to see about getting a table this year at Dragon Con to promote his book. Do you think it's worth it? Well, I guess that's how much is the table cost at Dragon Con. It might be the question.
Tables at Dragon Con are very expensive, and you may be lost in the crowd, but go ahead and try it anyway, or find a group of other writers who are have a table at Dragon Con, and you spell them so that everybody can move around a little bit. But yeah, people do that. Get on panels. Get in touch with the programming committees. The names of the track heads are on the website, so send them a note. Say who you are, and if you qualify, you have to fill out an application just like everybody else. I have to fill out an application. William Shatner has to fill out, his manager, fill out an application. Brandon Sanderson has to fill out an application to come to Dragon Con. But to get on programming, fill out the app, get in touch with the track heads and tell them what you do and what you can do for them.
What do you mean, can I help shortcut you? I met the guy one time. I don't think he's going to share that he met. Man meets a lot of people. No. I met him one time. He's a very nice gentleman. He told me to, if I ever come out, to let him know. But other than that,
he gives good talks, and yes. Love to have him there. And bless him. He's 91 and has nothing to prove to anybody.
Yeah, I think, let was it 90? Was it 37? I think I met him at. Anyway, it was one of them. And John introduced me to him. But yeah, great guy. And then, I met, what's his name from Fanix. He was another great guy, which I've been thinking about going up to Utah this year and checking it out. Yeah. There's lots of different cons around the country. There's lots of conferences around the country. There's lots of other stuff that, depending on what genre your book may be, and you might even be able to sell them at conferences. There's lots of conferences for lots of things. You can find conferences for the weird and strange, but you can find conferences for dishwashers and TVs and every other damn thing. Yeah, I got a friend who writes, I should say drafts, instructions for different products. That's what he does for a living. It's a boring job on how he does. He makes a lot of money though, don't get me wrong, but still. Yeah, they give it him and ask him to put it in the way it should be, put it together, and he puts it together and sends it to the company, and the company mass produces it and puts it in whatever product it is. Hey, it's a job. It's a $235,000 a year job. Yeah, so.
I've got a couple of friends who work in advertising. I have a friend whose job it is to design ads and put in all of the bits and pieces that the product manufacturer wants them to have. There's a lot of things involved in getting publicity for something.
And again, if you're scared, if you're timid, it's going to be a lot harder. Well, what do you mean, like Barnes and Nobles? You can ask. Sometimes Barnes and Nobles, if they don't have anybody scheduled, they may let an unknown name writer come sit. But they're strange about that.
You're better off in the library, getting in touch with your local library. And very often they have local author events. When I lived in Barrington, Illinois, the library had at least one event a year where they would invite all the local. Of course, one of them was Gene Wolfe, so naturally he got tremendous attention. But there were lots of them, romance writers, nonfiction writers, legal thriller writers, a few science fiction and fantasy writers. And people would come in, see our books in front of us, and get to know us. You build your readership one reader at a time. So make contact with people. If they like your books, they'll continue to buy them. They'll tell their friends.
Well, yeah, you can. I would set up look, internet's free. Well, basically free. You got to pay for your connection. But other than that, it's free. And you can set up all kind of accounts and advertise. Well, it takes a little while to build up followings on different ones. But if you're chatty and you got good stuff and you follow what's going on your page, you might do well. Mm-hmm. You mean my primary page? My primary page for the station has about 175,000 followers on it. The one for this show has about 40 or 45,000 followers. One for news and the flip side around the same. Yeah, well, those are all potential customers. And even if you think $1 a customer, that's 45 grand per account, which you can't think of that anyway. I always think between 2 and 5% are potential customers. In a good economy, that might jump as high as 15%. Right now, if it's cheap, it might sell because people are, aggravated about what's going on right now. So, but it don't matter if it's cheap. Just because it's cheap, make it good so people remember it.
One of the good things is BookBub, bookbub.com, BookBub.com, because they will let you post the book online and you can make it free. You can make it 99 cents. But if you are accepted by them, then you get a tremendous amount of attention. And I believe that you can repost it with a price change within a month or a few months of the first time that you post. So that's potential right there. Get yourself involved maybe with Story Bundle or one of the other book bundles. And you may not make as much because you get to choose your own price for the bundle of the books, but it could be a number of sales, and that could set you up with readers for your next book.
Arum, is that, am I saying that right? Arum. Anyways, he's writing in from Tehran, and he's asking how would you go about, how do you estimate what your book's worth? How do you go about estimating what your book's worth? Well,
is this for self-publishing?
Yeah, he says he's got 2 books published, but they haven't really made any money. He said one sold 100 copies, one sold about 200 copies, but he's only asking $1.99 a copy. He said, "Is my too low? Should I go lower? Should I go high?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "If a book's too cheap, will people buy it?"
Yeah, I am told that the sweet spot is like $3.99. But what you can do with something like BookBub or even your own page is to change the price once in a while so that it hits people's attention again. You can have an event where, say, the first book is free for a while, but the second one is the original price. You can change it up, but don't do it too quickly, because you don't want to have people get both books free and you get nothing out of it. There's a whole science to it. I know that a friend of mine who was publishing with Amazon did this all the time. She would change the prices, and she was making okay money doing that. She had a number of books. So
Summerborn, hey Summerborn, I didn't even see you in the other chat room. What's up, man? Oh, when am I going to write a book? Look, Joe's trying to write one. Joe, you know what's sad about this? What is so sad about this? Not 5 feet away from me is I did this like 17, 18 years ago. There's a summary for 3 different books from start to finish. And all the stuff that should be in it is already pre-written. I you gotta. I may just end up hiring somebody to write a damn book, or maybe getting one of these poor authors that are getting out there and begging them to write it for me. I don't know, but
once a month, say, "Well, how are you doing on it?"
Well, that's the sad part. The one I'm writing on right now has nothing to do with those 3 drafts over there. This is something entirely different. For some reason, y'all were talking one afternoon. I don't even know what you and Tim were talking about. I was just sitting there listening to y'all, and I went and had dinner. I went and got a wedge salad and a tea, and went up to the room. And I was getting ready to do something on my. I was going to publish one of the stories, and all of a sudden, I just started typing and typing. Before I knew, it was 3,400, 3,500 words into it. When
Nice.
John called me and said, "Are you coming down for dinner?" and it broke my my concentration. And I was like, "Hey, yeah, sure." And then the next night I went up and did the same thing. And I think it's closer to 11,000 words than 10, but
Cool.
and then I stopped. And then since I've been home, for some reason, I just can't get my brain to function. See, my life at home is different. See, when I'm there, I'm working press for y'all. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just thinking about what I'm doing there. And in the evenings, after I'm through with the interviews, I'm not thinking about anything but publishing, and there's nothing really in my brain. Here, there's always something going on. Something's popping up here, something's popping up there. Business changes, customers whining, just different stuff. One of my customers says, "You ever going to finish this job?" I said, "Yeah, give me some electricity. I've been finished weeks ago." They're trying to get us to remodel this apartment. Yeah, currently right now down here with the humidity, outside temperature feels anywhere from 108 to 112, which means inside a unit with no AC, it feels like you're baking. And I said, "Look," we're not working more than 4 hours a day. I said, "You can always hire another contractor." "Oh no, we didn't mean that." And I'm like, at this point, I'm getting kind of aggravated. I would rather be doing something inside. And we were supposed to have power. That was the original deal, that they were going to have electricity. And all of a sudden they can't, they got all kind of issues. I think it's going on 8 weeks without power now. I'm like, Jesus. So that's always in the back of my head. And then all this stuff is going on. And people are always bugging me about getting on the station. And we're always, don't get me wrong, we're always looking for new and good talent. And we have a wide range of ways for people to get on a station, from paying for their own show to being sponsored, or simply having the numbers or the name recognition to be on it. It's just different like that. In the old days, I had to beg for any kind of talent I could get. Now it's a different thing. Now it's a whole different thing. What time? Yeah, we still got a few minutes. So what was that, Janine, where are you from, Janine? Another DC. What you people in DC tonight, man? Y'all scaring me. Wait, say that. Right? No. That came out to jibber jabber. Type that again. Just type it again so I can actually read it. Okay, it says, "Hi, Miss Jody. Big fan. Read several of your books. Wanting to know when you got something new coming out. Can anyone come to Writers of the Future?" I can tell you no on that last part, but Jody will have to answer the rest.
I'm not in charge of that. The next thing I have coming out is a collection of my cat stories called Cats Triumphant, and it's got a really adorable cover on my website right now. And in order to come to the Writers of the Future event, you have to win. So you have to enter, and your story has to pass my slusher, and then I have to choose it, send it to the other judges, and they have to agree with me that this is an excellent story. So the short answer is no. The long answer is maybe.
Yes,
so
maybe.
Keep trying. If you've ever sent in a story, please do.
you can see from her own collection of books, she's got a lot of talent. And the fact that Anne McCaffrey just wanted to work with her shows that there's a lot of talent there. So she's reading, she knows what she's looking for. Just, grabs it. Because, I never really thought about it, but I've read stuff a lot of times. The first 2 or 3 pages is kind of like, man, I don't know if I want to read any more of this. So grab them, people. You better grab them that first page or 2, or guess what? You might be in trouble. I can't make predictions.
Mm-hmm.
But well, Jody seems like a very well educated, very nice woman. So just get something that grabs it. Oh, no violence, no sex. Just think of like PG-13 or PG-13 would be best.
We can have a little bit of sensuality. We can have a little bit of justifiable violence. No gore, no squick, no political agenda, no religious agenda. Tell us a good story and give us really good characters. Make us care about them. As a matter of fact, we don't have to like the main character as long as we're involved in their journey. But hook me right away. Get me interested in your plot. Tell me what the ticking clock is. What's so vital? What's so motivating that it gets the character out of their comfortable everyday life and makes them go on a journey?
I don't think they're going to take politics. Your story, how Biden's going to end the world. Maybe you should send that to like USA Today or something. There you go.
Send it to someone whose market is appropriate. If you have no idea what kind of stories that the writers of the future publish, read the anthologies. I've got one right here because I was showing it to somebody tonight. This is, wait a minute, here we are.
There you go.
I'm 34. The cover art is actually for my own story. So there's such good things in here. And in every volume, they have had some really notable writers. Patrick Rothfuss, who wrote The Name of the Wind, got his start with the writers of the future, and he will tell people that. So quite a lot of people who are judges now were winners. Eric Flint, Nettie Okafor, they all entered. And in fact, I found out today that Nettie was a published finalist, that she was not actually a winner, but her story was added to one of the volumes, and it was so excellent it got people's attention. And she is, of course, a terrific writer. Eric Flint, I think, was a second place winner. Nina Kariki Hoffman was a winner. She's one of the earliest, in fact. Dean Wesley Smith. And they are all judges now. So you can go far.
There's a great group of judges. We've only talked about her and Tim because they have really good chemistry. I shouldn't even say this on here. Probably gonna get me in trouble. I was watching Todd and Dean last year. They got pretty good chemistry together. But I think you and Tim have better chemistry, to be honest with you. And I'll tell Todd and Dean so.
He is a great. I love working with him.
Oh yeah, they're yeah. I don't know. You just for some reason y'all just played off each other well. Between the I guess a little comedy here and there, a little humor in Corp. Y'all knew the appropriate time to break the stress. I guess I would say the ice, but it would be more the stress. You're talking to these people, they're kind of getting these big eyes, and all of a sudden you'll say something or somebody funny or something will go on, and it seems to give them a little breath of fresh air and let them get back to thinking about what they were. On that, guys, though, really quick, since you had that up, this is volume 36. It's one of the ones I have left. If the first person who writes to me and tells me what her first novel was, because we discussed it on the show just a little while ago, it's yours. Just write to me at iCarveCox.net. As far as Carol, I know you'd asked me about the autograph 38s. I only got one left. The only way to get those is if you send us one case of books from Galaxy Press. We're giving these segments away to different libraries. So the ones I have, one from 34 to I think it's 37. Anyway, there's 5 books in each collection. Doesn't matter what collection it is, you can buy any one you want. But you've only got one autographed copy back, because my own personal one I'm not giving away, because not only was it signed at the book signing when we had the gala, I had them re-sign it. So it's double signed. You'll never get your fingers on this book. Or 36 or 30. I got signed copies, double signed copies of all 3 of them, and y'all ain't getting your hands on them. Just like that big picture behind me, y'all always trying to get that John sent me from Battlefield Earth. You ain't getting that either. But we got lots of books coming through. I like to give away a lot of books. I think for Christmas last year was somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 we gave away. So, and we gave away a couple of hundred from Writers of the Future last year. So, but if you want that last autographed copy, it's what it takes. One case, you can donate it to whatever school in Louisiana, Mississippi you want to, as long as it's in the lower half of the state. And we will bring it personally and deliver it and I'll tell everybody about Writers of the Future while we're there, and then go on. So, but there's only one of those left. But anyway, for the first one who writes to me about Jody's first novel published, I will send you 36. Well, I mean, I gotta
Story
link you.
anyway, by the way.
Huh?
The volume you held up, the cover story is mine.
Oh, look at that. There you go. It's so I'll show y'all again since I got it right here. Dun, 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 dun.
Yep.
There you go. And well, you can't see it as big because it was Jody and I on small screen. Oh, we're gonna get back on a big screen in a few minutes, but I was still going through some of her books. I was looking at. She's got such a great collection of books to go through. And you just, how many books did you do with Anne? Because about every third or fourth book, I see her name on it. So I was just curious.
7 or 8.
Okay.
2 cross. Yeah.
The Lady and the Tiger, is this like a series or just different covers?
Yeah, Tiger's Ark is the first one, Medicine Show, and then Lady and the Tiger.
Okay.
There were meant to be 2 more, but the publisher seems to have lost interest. So I will. Wordfire Press has them right now. So in all of my copious spare time, I will eventually get around to putting the next 2 volumes out. The Ship Who Won was one of the ones I did with Anne, and The Ship Errant follows it on, but it was my independent book. So we had a tremendous amount of fun with that one.
Elizabeth, we're talking about Anne McCaffrey just now. I'll tell you what, you can look her up online. It's really easy. But if you want to hear her son talk about her, he was on with me last week. Yeah, Todd McCaffrey was on last week. So we talked about some of the art, some of the stuff he did with his mom, some of his own personal stuff, things like that. So you can go catch that show as well. Yeah, you can share these shows. The shows are copyrighted. In fact, that you can't use any material off these shows without talking to the artist, not to me. You can republish the shows, but you can't use the likenesses without the artist's permission on any of the shows. Doesn't matter if it's this show or any other show. We post it so everyone can see it, so you have a better viewer pleasure by watching all this stuff. But see, like this one that's up there, I love that retro look from back, what is that, like the 30s, 40s, 20s, 30s, 40s, somewhere up in there. I noticed a lot of Elron's books have those type of covers on. For some reason, I like that old school cover. But guys, there's lots of artists been on in the last few weeks. We got a few more coming on. I want y'all to join. I want you to see all their work. I want you to see the author's work. I want you to see the illustrator's work. But again, remember, you can't use it without their permission. And I'm sure if it's something legit, they'll probably give it to you, but don't do it without it, because if I catch it, you know what's going to happen. And we're funny about that kind of stuff. Well, we got about 8 minutes. Anyone got any other questions? What do we got here? Saffron, is that your name? Where you calling in from, Saffron? Madrid? Whoa, man, what is it, like 5 in the morning over there right now? I know it's the wee hours of the morning.
I think it's 2 in the morning. No, yeah, 2 in the morning. I think
is it 2? It's so she's writing in. She wants to know, when you think of a genre, do you think of the plot of the book, or I'm messing this question up. Hold on, let me go back and read this again. So she's basically asking, when you first come up with an idea for a book, are you doing it by a genre, or was it because of a story in your head that it ends up being in a particular genre? Does either that pay a thing? Because she said with her, a lot of times she'll start writing, and then all of a sudden she's written herself into a particular genre, and she just wanted to know if it was true for you.
No, that is usually the way it works. Although I will frequently be asked to write a short story, and they'll say, we want you to do this. We want you to do a science fiction story or a steampunk story or something. So I begin to think of a plot that fits with that. But a lot of the time, if I get an inspiration, I'll figure out where it belongs later, because the whole idea is to get it written.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, write it out, and then you can when you go back to proofread, you can kind of figure out, okay, well, maybe it fits here better. Well, anyway, Deneen, nice to see you right in. I see you already posted that you're calling in from New York, so glad to see y'all up in there in New York. Buffalo is still cold, Denny, or is it finally got hot up there? I'm just curious. It's what are you? You're telling me what's your favorite genre to write in? Okay, what is it? I'll bite. Fantasy. Okay, well, fantasy's cool. What do you consider fantasy? Too much to type. Well, chicken. You just chickened out. Somebody was just asking me about this book I got up here, Humans Wanted. What was it about? Because there seems to be a couple of names on it.
Oh, on the one on the screen?
Yeah, the one
It's
on the screen.
an anthology of stories in which humans uh, humans are frequently not wanted around the galaxy in a lot of anthologies and a lot of stories.
Hmm.
In this case, Vivian Cape, who is a wonderful person and a terrific editor, said, "Where would humans belong? Where would humans be useful and helpful?" So I had a lot of fun writing the story for that. I enjoyed it very much.
It sounds fun because yeah, you're right. In a lot of sci-fi, they're anti-human. Like, get your stinky human butt out of here. Don't ask me, people. That's our own self writing about our own selves. Remember, we're the people writing this stuff, so this is what we're thinking about ourselves, and it's not what the show's about. And I agree, we're not ready to be in deep space yet. I won't even argue that. And if aliens are watching this planet, they must get some serious comic relief some days. Because even I gotta laugh some days. I'm like, oh my god, is this where our actual place I live at? Oh, we're babies.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Stephen. Write a book about why humans are still babies and aren't allowed in the galactic cosmos yet. That's a book in itself.
Something like that. I keep hearing the proof that there's intelligent life in the galaxy is that no one has tried to contact us yet.
That's probably a good point. Oh man. Over the years, I've given many lectures at the Washington Press Club, and in those years, I've met a lot of people. I know a few senators, a few congressmen, and quite a few astronauts, a lot of aides that seem to be nosy about what I'm talking about. Because people find out about me, they're like, wow, this guy's got degrees in advanced avionics and electronics. He's got a bachelor's in science. I got a degree in hypnosis. Actually, I have a teaching degree in hypnosis. I've got degrees in voice stress analysis, body language, and I even got my private detective's license. And a few other things besides that, degrees in aircraft recognition and stuff like that. And people always, oh my God, I got a Class 10 security clearance, which is probably a couple of steps above Biden's. It's a very, very high security clearance. And as soon as people find that I have it, they're like, you know about aliens. I said, no. I know about Old Salty because I used to have to work on a nuclear reactor aboard the Nimitz. I also had to work in the Continental on the airplanes, on the catapults, and the missiles. I said, of course I had a Class 10 security clearance because I was working on everything we had that was above top secret. But they want to make it into something alien every time. And it's not that I don't think there's life in the universe, and it could be visiting. I don't have issues with that. It's just when they hear that, it always comes out this. I had an astronaut. Well, man, with that clearance, you know what's going on. I said, not from the government, I don't. Not because of my clearance. I know because I got friends at Lockheed and Boeing and places like that. I know the head scientist at Boeing. She's a friend of mine. And because we both have high security clearances, we can talk about stuff without being slapped. And I can't tell you about it or anybody else. So what's the use? It's not helping anybody. It's helping me. No, Jimmy, that's just how it is. And let me tell you what, before we go, we're going to go, and then I'm going to let Jody talk a few minutes before we go. But it was weird for me. When I came home from tech, when I came home from boot camp, I had found out that the FBI had talked to a lot of my friends and family. When I came home from tech, I found that not only they did it, they got deep. They asked about all kind of stuff. They interviewed more than 250 people that knew me before they would grant me this clearance. Oh, yeah. And I mean, they were serious. I had to go through a psych evaluation, all kind of crap. It wasn't an easy thing to get. It's not like a standard clearance. It's because they have to know that you wouldn't be compromised by enemies. They sent me to prison or a war camp. That's what we need to write about, Jody. You and I need to write about that one day. That was weird. Anyway, we got time for about 4 more questions, and then we got to let Jody let her tell you where she can find her and where she can get her books at and stuff like that. Donnie, nope, you already had asked that. Who we got over here? Some of these names, people. I mean, Lord, where the hell y'all live? Well, I can't pronounce your name, even though you're in China. So, but I will ask her this question. She said, "Do y'all publish books in China?" She said, "There is a huge science fiction, fantasy genre, and over there, even though they're not supposed to be looking at it. Is there any way that you can get your books to China?" I don't know. Is there?
I hope so. My agent has been trying to sell them overseas. Maybe I'll simply have to lean on them a little bit harder. Originally, we did send some to a man in Xi'an who was going to be publishing them, and Tiananmen Square happened not very long afterwards, so we never heard from him again. And we didn't want to endanger him by
Yes, I can see that.
making contact from the West. So
Yeah.
I would like to see my books in China. I know there's a very devoted market. My friend Mike Resnick published there frequently. So,
Well, I interviewed a little girl who was writing paranormal who got arrested in China, and then she left the country. And okay, so China's a weird thing, people. They have a big cult following on all of this stuff, but you're not really supposed to talk about it in China. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's they think it's some kind of weird religion, and technically some stuff is even illegal, like the girl writing. So, but what's funny about it, she was telling me when she's on air, she said, "Oh no, we can read American books because you're dumb Americans." But we can't write books for our own people because we'll go to jail because it's, and she said nothing in this book was other than paranormal. But because we talked about things that went on, you know, with countries or worlds invading and how they treated their citizens, the Chinese took it personally. She said, I wasn't even talking about China. I could have cared less. She said, I was trying to get across this part of the story, and China just thought I was talking about them. And she said, that's all I heard. She said, so when I got out of jail, I just left. And she's been publishing since. She's been fairly successful, but they will not let her books into China. But I learned a little secret, and I don't know how this works for everybody. I got into China because I was in Hong Kong. So when China took over Hong Kong, we were already a member. We were already part of the press there. And when I was contacted by the party, they basically told me, we like your station. You've been reviewed. We've heard you talk about our emperor. Well, no, they didn't call him emperor, but still, they've heard we reviewed your news shows. You're not hating on Xi Jinping. You actually play fair with everybody. So we're going to allow your station to stay in here. At first, it was just Hong Kong, and then it was Beijing, and it was more. Now it's in, I think, 14 or 18 provinces across the country. It's well listened to over there, and we have a big audience. And how many Chinese people do actually know what I'm saying? I don't speak Mandarin. I wish I did, but I don't. So, I guess I got to translate over there. It makes me sound like Robbie the robot or something. Denise.
By the way, for the Chinese listener, I don't know if you are aware of it, but the World Science Fiction Convention is going to be in Chengdu.
Ooh.
Please look online and see if it's something that you wish to attend. Sounds
fun. I wish I could fly. They ain't letting me in China right now. I don't think they're letting any Americans in China right now. I don't know. You have to check into it and see. The world's in a weird, precarious place right now. Even though COVID seemed to have taken a break for a little while, other stuff decided to get, going on. No, we don't talk politics on this show. That's why we're not getting into it. Sorry, guys. If you want to hear Centralist Friday night, 3 hours, myself, Michael, this week it'll be me, Michael, Angley, J. McNichols, and Linda will always be on there talking. We do current news real quick because we got to go. But we do current news. We do local events, world events. So the first hour and a half is just news. We just talk about the news. There's no opinions involved whatsoever. It's just a news story presented as a news story so you can make up your mind. The third hour, we will go back and do a little satire and a little opinion on the first hour's news. And the second hour is usually world news and stuff like that, depending on what's going on. Well, we've not been talking about the war that much. Sorry. Okay. Robbie, one question and we're out of here. Smart ass. He wanted to know if you were married. We get that question on every show now. I'm going to start charging for that question. How's that?
Yes, I.
See, too bad, so sad. Why you wanted to write your books for you, huh? I know what's going on here, you freaks. I think I don't know what's going on. No, she's been a fabulous. Everybody everybody in my messenger list says you had just been a fabulous guest, just wonderful, a world of knowledge. Denise said you probably one of the best guests she's heard in a long time. Really well spoken. I know she gave y'all a lot of. Should have been charging y'all for the information she gave y'all tonight. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, anyway, Jody, tell them where they can find you and any parting words after that.
Well, I'm on Facebook at Jody Lynn Nye, JodyLynnNye. I have a website, jodynye.com and jodylynnye.com. And there is a Myth Adventures website, but it's currently under construction again. But I tweet very, 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 very seldom. I just got an Instagram page, so you'll begin to see pictures of my cats. But otherwise, come and see me at conventions, stop me in the hall, talk to me, because I love to meet people.
That's the Raymond wanted to know, where do you post where you're going to be speaking at when you're speaking?
That's on my website under appearances. So check
There
it
you
out. I
go.
have a list of the places I'm going to be. If I get some more book signings or some more classes that I'm teaching, I will put those up. And I'm trying to keep it current, but it's
She's
it's
busy, people. Don't let her fool you. She's a busy woman.
it's more important for me to get to the event than to post much about it. And I try to put up my schedule for conventions when I'm going to be there.
There y'all go. So just keep up on her, and you'll find out where she's going and where she's like. I know a lot of y'all. I've seen a lot of y'all said you'd like to meet her in person. She's so nice, and don't irritate the woman. Okay, I tell y'all, with all the people come on this network, be respectful when you meet people. Don't be bumping, shoving. Give me your autograph. Be nice. Okay, if the woman wants to give you your autograph, she will. If she don't, she won't. So don't push it. Yeah, I do this because I noticed over the years, when people come on, sometimes when they come back, they tell me they were at a particular convention or something was going on, and there was a big group of people showed up, and they were kind of being, how can we say this politely, unruly, and so it made for issues. And I just, go to the conference, enjoy it, go for whatever reasons you are. If Jody's there, go up, say hi, tell her how you love her and all that good stuff. Buy her book. Buy a book, people. Don't be cheap. You know what? I know it's tight. Now think of it like this. I know it's tight and it's early. So we're 180 days from Christmas. So yeah, I bet you we're real close. So start thinking about Christmas books. You know how I am, people. Buy a book. You know what? Shh, let me tell you a little secret. You can buy a book, you can read it, and then you can give it to somebody as a Christmas present. Shh. Don't tell anybody I said that. Or you buy two. Yes. Yeah, she likes cats. It's in her bio. And one went to visit. She didn't make the camera with us, but like Lola's gotten to where my little black Chihuahua, she thinks she has to be on cam now. She thinks she's a movie star. Ever since she got the big TikTok audience, now she struts the house like, yeah, I'm gonna be on cam. This dog is insane. You think I'm kidding y'all, people? That dog knows when I'm coming home. And she knows when I'm on air. She will come in the room. She won't come in the studio all day. Daddy gets on air. Boom, here she comes. Right at 1 hour into the show every time. She wants to be on. She comes, gets on my laps, looks around, smiles at everybody, and leaves. I don't ask. I don't know why. It's a weird thing. But be sure to go to the conferences. Check her out. Dragon Con. I don't know. You going to try to make Dragon Con this year? Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm coming to see. I think John and Emily said they're coming down this year, so I'll be up. So I'll be looking for you when I'm up there to come say hi. Well, remember, it's 5 hotels, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Dragon Con is huge, people. It's spread all over Atlanta. It's huge.
We fill every hotel out to the airport, and NASCAR same weekend fills every hotel from the airport on out.
Yeah, thank God my sister works at a Marriott. That's all I can say. It's my sister bigwig for the Marriott. I already told her I wanted to put one aside for me. She's like, all right, brother. Hey, man, what's the use of having family in good places if you can't abuse them? I'm just saying, come on. Anyway.
Did you see the movie Dune?
Yeah, I've seen, you mean the new one, right? Is what you're talking about?
Yes. Did you see the Marriott elevator lobby in the movie?
Oh, no, I did not. I'll have to go back and watch now.
You'll have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, I must have missed it because, it was so funny because John introduced me to the guy who wrote it last year, and I told him, I said, look, dude, you better not have messed this movie up. I said, now I know your name, but it'll be coming for you. And I was pleasantly surprised. It's a lot of people who saw it are like, oh, it's kind of, I said, what's the first half of Dune? It doesn't matter what version of Dune you watch. The first half of the movie is much slower than the second half. It's just the way the movie is. The book's the same way. Book's much more involved and way more complicated. I heard a guy the other day that says that Dune is un-TV, unmovable, makeable. However he said, I screwed that up. But basically, they don't think it should be made in a movie because it's too complicated, it's too massive, and it never makes sense. The movie makes fine sense to me. I read the book. I mean, it's yes, the book's more involved, but the first half of this movie was good. He did a good job on it. As long as the second half follows through, I'll be happy with it. You mean, will it replace the original Dune for me? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. That's part 2 is. I'm a big fan of the classic Dune. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, there's just people in there especially like Patrick Stewart. He was in there, so that was always a plus. But we got to go. I know Miss Jody's got a life. She's got things to do. Everybody, thanks for all the audience hanging out. Jody, thank you. You were fabulously great tonight. And thanks for educating my audience. They probably learned more about books tonight than they have in a while. So if you go pay attention, there's been some serious authors on with me the last few weeks. And Tim Powers will be on with me probably in a week or two as well. So, and then, well, I was trying to do them so y'all three were like together, you, Todd, and him. But for some reason we had an issue Monday. But anyway, he'll be back and y'all can hear him and you'll know who I'm talking about. When I was talking about Jody and Tim, you'll know who I'm talking about then. And they had great chemistry, guys. And again, I know a couple of people I've seen this past a few times, obviously weren't here in the beginning of the show. The only way you can get invited to Writers of the Future is if you win. Well, I'll go as press because I give them free press, yeah, but that's the only reason I get to go. Other than that, and John is one of our hosts on the network, so yes. I know it's confusing sometimes, people, but he hosts Writers of the Future on Mondays at 4 p.m. Yeah, he does a great job too. But write, submit, and if you're an illustrator, submit. I mean, all I can tell you is to submit. You can't win if you don't submit. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. Nobody's going to make fun of you. Look, I know personally they're not even going to make fun of you. They're going to review it, and if it's even mentionable, it'll go up the chain where it's supposed to, and then the judges will look at it and then make their decisions. They pick a winner every quarter. So you can submit every quarter. Mm-hmm. And all those dates and all that's on galaxypress.com. Yes. Oh, it's writersofthefuture.com. I'm sorry, wrong one. Galaxypress.com is where you go buy the books at. Writers of the Future is where you go submit and all that. Yeah. So go check it out. And take the course. Don't be scared. And go buy some of Jody's books and give them away for Christmas this year. Or you better yet send them to me and I'll give them away for Christmas this year. I know I'm evil, but I know we got to go. Jody, you've been great. Audience, you've been great. I'll see everybody next Wednesday. Don't forget to catch us on the Centralist on Friday. We will be wreaking havoc. The 4 people in the dome causing nothing but havoc. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on in the world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'm probably one of the few people who can talk politics and not lose his audience. We warn everybody real quick, ladies and gentlemen. I warn everybody the same thing. Don't matter how famous you are. If you pick a side in politics, you're risking half of your audience. Some people can do it on air because I've been doing this a long time and people know my politics. I'm a centralist too, which helps. I'm not really taking a side. But if you choose a side, a lot of times it will back. Look what happened with Trump. How many of these wealthy, famous people lost half their audience? Whether you hated or loved Trump, you had to laugh when you seen what went down. And now it's happening again with Biden. So get unpolarized and become a nation. On that note, good night and see y'all Friday.